For most people in the small town of Maple Hollow, Harold Dawson was just the quiet old man who lived alone by the edge of the woods. His wife had passed years ago. His children moved to other states, and his only companion was Maggie, a 13-year-old shepherd mixed with gray around her muzzle and eyes that still shone with love. Every morning, Harold brewed his black coffee, tied his worn boots, and took Maggie for a slow walk down the forest path behind his cabin. The trail was narrow, lined with pine needles and shafts of clean daylight, filtering through the leaves. Maggie always stayed a few steps ahead, stopping whenever Harold's wooden cane clicked against the stones. It was a rhythm of companionship that had filled the silence of his days. That afternoon felt like any other. The air was cool, the forest alive with distant birds. But halfway down the trail, Harold's foot caught a root hidden under the leaves. He stumbled, his cane slipping from his grasp. Pain shot through his hip. And before he knew it, he was on the ground, unable to stand. Maggie rushed to him, whining, circling his body. "I'm all right. It's okay, girl," Harold whispered, trying to move. But the pain was sharp, and his leg refused to work. The wood stretched around him, too bright, too empty. He called out, but no one answered. Maggie barked once, twice, desperate. Then silence. Only the sound of wind brushing through dry grass. The hours crawled by. The sun climbed higher, then began its slow descent, turning the light a deeper gold. Harold's throat burned with thirst. He pressed his hand to the dirt, feeling the faint tremble of his dog's body beside him. "Go, Maggie," he murmured, his voice weak. "Go find someone." Maggie stayed for a moment, nose against his cheek. Then she turned to the cane lying a few feet away, polished wood darkened by the soil, and picked it up carefully in her mouth. She glanced back, once, her tail trembling, and began to trot toward the road. On the main road, Deputy Reed had just ended his patrol when a shape appeared through the sunlight haze. A small shepherd mix, limping slightly, dragging something long and wooden. She stopped right before his cruiser, dropped the cane, barked, then picked it up again and turned toward the trees. Reed frowned, stepping out. "Hey there, girl, what have you got?" he asked softly. But Maggie barked once more, moving back a few steps, looking straight at him before vanishing into the woods. He followed, flashlight in hand, pushing through the undergrowth. 100 yards in, the beam caught a glimpse of blue flannel on the ground. An old man, pale, unmoving. The cane lay beside him, bite marks clear near the handle. Reed knelt, checked his pulse, and called for help. Hours later, Harold woke in a hospital room, warmth and oxygen flooding his lungs. Beside his bed, Maggie lay curled up, exhausted, but calm. When the doctor told him how she'd carried his cane out to the road and led the officer back, Harold's eyes filled with tears. "She carried my cane," he whispered. "Smart girl." "She's always looked out for me," Deputy Reed smiled. "She wouldn't let me leave without following her." The story spread quickly, first through local radio, then across national news. Headlines read, "Old dog saves elderly owner by carrying his cane to police." Messages poured in from strangers calling Maggie a hero, a miracle, an angel on 4 legs. When Harold returned home weeks later, he hung the cane by the door. The bite marks stayed. He never sanded them away. Every morning, he'd pat Maggie's head and say with a quiet smile, "Ready, girl? Let's take our walk." And somewhere along that sunlit trail, their footprints blended again. Proof that love in its purest form always finds its way back.